Guys, it's Bree. Welcome back. I have done it. I finished Deathly Hallows. This is the final book in the Harry Potter series, and I think by far one of the most interesting. This is all sorts of adventure, kind of almost more of an action-adventure story with a twist of mystery in it than anything else. In this particular book, the kids are going into their 7th year but have decided to leave school to start hunting down the Horcruxes. There's all sorts of things that are going on, from trying to hunt up ideas about Dumbledore's past to Voldemort being active and on the loose and actively hunting Harry. The Death Eaters take over the Ministry and Hogwarts. All sorts of cool stuff's going on. Goblins and house elves and dragons, oh my. There's a lot that I really like about this book, and it's hard to kind of decide where to start on that. There are a couple of things that I like about this one. In particular, I like that we start getting some idea of Dumbledore, other than like Dumbledore as best human ever. And I have mixed feelings about that because, one, I think his growing up story, especially when he tells it at the end of the book, is very interesting. Right? He's a very talented, thinks he's being wasted, kind of falls in temporarily with this guy who believes the same thing as he does, but in a more extreme way. It's got all of the hallmarks of like going to the bad side almost. And that for me is one of the most interesting aspects of the entire series, seeing the difference between Voldemort and Dumbledore. I do think at the end of the day, Dumbledore's backstory winds up being more well done than Voldemort's. Granted, he does a lot of unneeded praise for Harry in this book. Like, look at me, I wanted to do bad things, therefore you will always be better than me, Harry. That felt ridiculous and dumb. But there was some interesting stuff there. There is a search for a new set of things that we are now learning about called the Deathly Hallows. And Harry almost gets distracted by searching for the Deathly Hallows, distracted away from looking for the Horcruxes because he's so frustrated looking for the Horcruxes. He's not finding them, not getting any leads. And that's interesting. Some of the strife between the trio, I think, is the best part of this story. Ron very quickly gets very frustrated, almost corrupted by the Horcruxes and negativity, and leaves, leaving Harry and Hermione alone in the woods to kind of hunt for the Horcruxes by themselves. And so Harry and Hermione have to go and be putting puzzle pieces together. There's a really clear downer effect on that. They miss him very much, and they're angry at him. All sorts of stuff like that. That I think gives a little bit extra dimension to their friendship that wasn't really there before. There'd always been that hint of like, Ron never gets to be seen. But at the same time, I think this drags it out in a much more visceral way, and I like that. Some of the Hallows and the Horcruxes still feels really pulled out of thin air. I don't think that the foreshadowing done for the Horcruxes is particularly good. It's one of those things that I kind of feel like JK had to figure out where she was going, and she grabbed those pieces that she had and kind of ran with them. You can tell that she's filling in the gaps with some of the things here. And the Deathly Hallows comes out of nowhere. Like, 0 places. That's one that I wish had been mentioned. Like, we never hear of the tales of Beetle the Bard before this book. We don't hear of, you know, the Elder Wand before this book. We don't hear of Grindelwald before this book. And I think that those are, one, some of the most fascinating parts of this book, because it shows a broader point of the wizarding world, and it shows a lot of really interesting things that go on that these kids may or may not be aware of. And it like pains me a little bit that they're kind of magicked out of thin air, right? We never hear about them before, and now all of a sudden they're kind of pivotal to the book. I just think that could have been foreshadowed a lot earlier on, and it would have been much, much more effective. The story, of course, is going to culminate in the big battle scene, the battle scene that, of course, leads to kind of the messianistic story of Harry Potter. So she's definitely not pulling punches on who she gets rid of, who she kills in these battles. Like, she wants that emotional aspect of the story to still be there and reflect, you know, kind of some of the horrors of war. But that is the last book in my Harry Potter reread. When Cursed Child gets here, it's supposed to be here soon. I will let you know what I think of that one. Until then, let me know what you think of the Harry Potter series and Deathly Hallows. I'll talk to you later. Bye.